We are delighted to chat with this morning or this evening over there. Barbara, how are you doing and how is life right now in New York City?
Well, we've had a tough time in New York City, as you can imagine. I've been in quarantine with my family for about 94 days, and everyone counts the days here. Like we're in prison, like we X out days on our calendar. We as a city, I think, took the Corvid in the chin, kind of like New York style. We were hit hard. We were hit first, and we came out very, very strong. So right now we're in a pretty good position compared to many of the other cities in the United States, and we're thankful for that. The images in my mind, I don't think I'll ever really shake. And I've lived in New York City my whole adult life. But the images, they just seem like they're out of some movie or storybook. I think of the thousands of demonstrators marching down Fifth Avenue with every store boarded up 3 stories tall, including all the big international fashion brands that you never thought would be boarded up. I could see no branding whatsoever on Fifth Avenue, Madison Avenue. I live right over Central Park, and I usually have a beautiful view of the pastures of Central Park. But I don't think I'll ever shake the image of the hospital tents that were constructed there to house the sick and the dying. And they were just taken down, fortunately. And that seems like a note of hope. Today was momentous because all the store boarding was taken down. So we could actually see, even though the stores aren't yet open, we could see the company names. It feels like a breath of life is coming back in. And last night, for the first time, I realized I wasn't awake many times in the night with the ambulance sirens constantly going off. And so you've asked on a good day. It feels like a very hopeful day right now, but it's been a very, very tough time for everybody here in New York City.
Yeah, so we certainly see and so we hear, and we're very much thinking of you on the other side of the world. Barbara, we have got about a 15-minute window. We're going to start the clock. I'm going to start throwing questions your way, and let's see how we go. If anybody wants to send through questions, they will send them through, and I'll get to those as well. I wanted to start, I gave a little bit of an introduction to you and your stunning career, initially in real estate. But for those people here in Australia who may not watch the US version of Shark Tank and don't know that much about your story, can you give us a little brief background into how you got to where you are today?
I'll give you the shortest version I can. Real estate was not my first career. I had 22 different jobs, none of them important, but they gave me a great background about people and working hard. And so I started my business when I was 23, and I had a lucky break. I was a waitress at a diner cleaning up my counter, and a very handsome man walked in, and he became my first boyfriend. And he offered to give me $1,000 loan to start a business about a year later. He said, I think you'd be great in real estate. Why don't I become your partner? And here's $1,000 to start it. I milked that $1,000 and stretched it as long as I could. And I was able to take that loan, and over a period of 26, 27 years, I guess, I built it into the #1 residential company in New York City. So I grew up with New York City. It was a horrible place to live. No one wanted to be here when I started. And by the time I sold my business for $66 million in cash, everyone wanted a piece of New York City. So I feel like I almost parallel the building of the city with my own career. I later reinvented myself, not really knowing what to do after I sold my business and feeling a little bit lost, frankly. I reinvented myself as a business investor because I thought I was very good at building businesses, and that got me Shark Tank. And they offered me the job in Hollywood. I thought it was a thrill to go to Hollywood. I don't know why, but I bought myself a new set of luggage and became fancy. And off I went to Hollywood on the show called Shark Tank. And that is the #1 business show in America, bar none. We've had many imitators, but no one's been able to approach the success of that show. And that's what I've been doing for the past actually 11 years.
Okay, fabulous. I do need to ask you in regards to Shark Tank, I couldn't help look over your shoulder. Am I looking at an Emmy that's just casually sitting on your shelf behind you?
Yes, we actually have gotten 4 Emmys, but we were only allowed to have one each. So I'm going to order another 3 Emmys through a secondhand shop, I think. So I have all 4 there next time you see me.
Excellent.
They're not
I've hidden all of my Emmys and Oscars and our Australian Logie. I've hidden those from view. you won't be seeing them today, but it's very impressive to see your Emmy. I only wish I had won something. So let me ask you a question. The last few months, you touched on it before, it's no secret, it's been very, very difficult for everyone, and it's been particularly difficult for people in travel, and it's been particularly difficult for people who work in the events industry, amongst many other industries. But today, we are being viewed by a lot of people in the events industry. So I wanted to try and touch on that and get your thoughts on that. Many businesses in all industries have had to downsize and contract to survive the restrictions that we're all dealing with. In the businesses that you work with and that you invest in, what differences have you seen in the last few months between those who have navigated this weird time well and those who perhaps haven't really done so well? Any learnings or thoughts in that area?
Yeah, I've learned quite a few lessons myself, actually. And I've been in business many years. I found that the only difference between the businesses that have done very well and actually increased their sales through the pandemic, which seems remarkable, and increased them substantially, were each led by phenomenal entrepreneurs. And then the question, of course, that you want to know is what separates the entrepreneurs that have succeeded wildly and made their businesses stronger. And I would say the two commonalities are they hit the ground running. They never thought for a minute, let's wait this out and see where it goes. It wasn't even a thought anyone had. So every great entrepreneur that I've invested in out of the 80 some odd businesses, maybe I would say maybe 12, 14 of them are doing much better than they ever did, taking advantage of what went on and frankly wiping out the competition because they were smart enough to not hesitate but reinvent every aspect of their business. I'll name a few. I have a business doing about $80 million in sales online named Comfy, which is an oversized sweatshirt. People love it, especially locked in home, but it's always been selling well for the 2 years I've been a partner in it. But Comfy immediately, before even people knew that retail was going to suffer, ripped everything out of retail, aggressively attacked their brand online, and replaced the $80 million lost sale with $130 million within 3 months. How did they do that? It was that hunger and this idea that we're in trouble. What do we do fast? I had another very tiny business just bought in this last season called Boho Vans, which is very popular right now. People like to go to the mountains and escape in a custom-made van. Well, custom making vans is not a profitable business. But when the virus hit, they immediately made a pattern of every single part that customized the vans and mass produced them. So now everyone thinks they're getting a slow, customized van that takes 3 months to build. They're knocking them out in 7 days. And so they've been able to meet the enormous demand and their business has exploded. But it really is the attitude of the entrepreneur. They're worried. When they're good, they're worried. They'll think they're never going to make another sale. They're panicked and they operate every day as though they're going to go out of business. And as a result of that attitude and eagerness and immediacy, they don't go out of business. They look back and realize they built the business even stronger than it ever was.
Yeah, Barbara, the issue in Australia at the moment is that slowly now the restrictions are being eased and people are going back to work and businesses are beginning to grind their gears again in an attempt to get back to normal, whatever that is. What are your thoughts about what can businesses do to make up for the dead time, the lost time that they've just had over the last couple of months to hit the ground running again and try and get back to where they were?
I think the smartest thing to do, and I've done this with every business I've invested in as an exercise, but not just for the exercise, because I think it's a common sense approach. I've had every business, and I would recommend it, sit down and make a list of every piece of your business and where it came from. You would think people would naturally know that. I found that people really don't know it after they've been in business, say 2 or 3 years. So go from the very beginning, write down every piece of business and put right next to it, hey, where did that business come from? And then look at that list and realize that every single source of business is not going to be there for you. And now what do you do? It's a scary picture to look at, looking straight in the face, but it's the right thing to do. Then you have to sit down and say, so what can I do to produce new business that's going to replace this? Because we're not going back to anything we've had before. We might have a version of it or borrow a little bit from it, but it's not going to go back any industry to what we had before, I don't believe. And so then it's your charge to get every single person, whether you have a team of 3 people or 700 people, every man is equal, every woman's equal. Get everybody to brainstorm on what else could we do? Where else could we get that piece of business? What else can we offer? What's on the menu? And every idea counts. The stupid ideas can often become your winner ideas. Just make a list of everything and then task it out. Take that idea, run with it, come back to us with a deadline. Boom, just done. So you're able to populate a lot of brain power at once and bring many opportunities of what might possibly work. Because this is a kind of market where you can't sharpshoot. You know, when you get really sophisticated on business, you could sharpshoot and say, let's emphasize this or do that. No, all bets are off. This is a business climate where you have to have buckshot. Just shoot at everything and see what sticks. And that's what I've had all of my businesses do. And it's a phenomenal exercise to get your eyes wide open, scare the crap out of you, and get you running.
That's great advice, Barbara. One thing about you, for anyone who's seen you on Shark Tank, or even if people just follow you on Instagram, you're a serious business person and you treat business seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously. In fact, it's very clear that you enjoy yourself, even in the pandemic, and you try and have fun at all times. What advice have you got for people, given everything that's going on? How can people have fun at times like this? How can they bring some fun into work, given the realities that we're dealing with? Because it's probably more important now than ever.
It is more important. You said it exactly what I was going to say. You can always find fun. You can always find fun. It's just a matter of believing it's there, and then you invent it. It's like having a form where there's a blank, you have to fill in the blank. So fill in the blank. We do all kinds of things at my little media company, but I do it to have fun. But I've also learned over the years that when you have fun, what you wind up having is an innovative business. And that's really what you need right now. The number one need right now is to be innovative. And how do you do that? The best way to loosen up the joints, take out the screws, is to make sure people have fun. So we've done regularly a team happy hour, but the rule of the happy hour is you have to have at least one glass of wine before you go on to the happy hour. So people are a little buzzed. You know why? Because people who are buzz loosen, you're going to think I recommend alcoholism. I'm really not. But because when people are buzzed and they have to wear something stupid, you know, and no makeup allowed, so we see each other for what we are. We had a mass competition. You had to have bizarre it sounds like kindergarten, I'm sure, but I was the judge. I'm the shark, and I decided who the winner was, and the winner got $1,000. So everybody really put themselves into it. We took our office chairs out of the office because we were thinking we weren't shaking things up enough, and we rolled them down Park Avenue, having the doorman on Park Avenue cheer us through, racing down Park Avenue while seated in our office chairs. Kind of dangerous, actually. Somebody almost broke their neck, but we laughed and laughed about that for weeks after. What happens if you have fun with your team? People love each other more. Very important to teammanship, to love your teammate. You get people out of their comfort zone and you make them feel as though they see each other in a different light. You have a commonality of a culture of fun. But what I get out of it as a boss is I get a creative team. That's what I'm really after. I mean, I love to have fun and make a lot of fun, but what I really want is I want to know that everybody's brain is firing and they're like, got those juices going all the time, and they're trying to think of what else we could do, because that's what builds a business, constantly changing what you do, changing it up and thinking of new things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. The flexibility and the authenticity, and as you say, the creativity. We've got time for one final question. Barbara, I'm chatting with you virtually. I know that you're very comfortable in this format because you've been doing virtual and TV work, communication for a long time. In the event space, which many of our audience members are from, we've all had to move things virtually into a world that many people are not comfortable with. Have you got any final tips for people as to how they can do business more successfully virtually?
Yes, and I know it sounds vain, but make sure you have good lighting. I would never be on camera at my age with great lighting. I wish I could turn the camera. I probably have 3 sets of lights shining on me, so it takes about 30 years off my face. Why? Because I want to look good. I don't want to look my age, right? If you saw me in person, you'd be shocked. Okay. But the companies right now are welcoming anything online, and you can really reinvent your model, and you've got to get comfortable with it. It's, as they say, the new normal. I don't like that expression, but it is the new normals, because I find that companies right now in the event space are very reluctant to spend money. They don't want to spend big money. They'll spend some cautious money, but not big monies. I also find that attendees are not talking about traveling again. Even when it clears, they're going to be hesitant. They're going to be reluctant to travel and stay in hotels. That's a problem for the event business. But people, customers, attendees are very eager and happy to watch entertainment and learn online. So if that's what the sweet spot right is now, which it is, and the webinar has replaced the live speech absolutely already, and how much of the live speaking and the big events will come back, we don't know. It's too early to tell. But if it's going to move in that direction, you better get comfortable online and do everything you can to make yourself a powerhouse online and speak with credibility. And that takes practice. And it's very easy to learn how to do it. You just have to get willing to accept the fact that that is the future, and you better get good at it.
Absolutely, and that's a beautiful note on which, unfortunately, in the interest of time, we are going to have to end. It has been lovely having the opportunity to chat with you virtually. I do hope that at some stage we can actually get you, I know you've been here before, get you out to Australia to an event and actually chat with you live in person, but I know that you're available for virtual things, and hopefully people will be able to chat with you virtually. I was going to finish by saying enjoy the Australian wines that Keith sent you, but I believe that that's too late. You actually drunk them already last night.
2 whole bottles last night. We got drunk. I haven't been drunk in years. Thank you for that. I felt terrific, but I feel miserable today.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that we've made you feel miserable today, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thanks so much for your time. Stay safe and take care. Thanks very much, Barbara.
Thanks for inviting everyone. Thanks.
All right. So that was Barbara Corcoran.